Podcast number 10 today, and we've got a very special podcast, and it's something that I've been trying to do and mean to carry on doing here on the Upsticks channel. And we're going to get some real stories on this podcast of people who have moved over. So we are going to talk a little bit about the paperwork, but not much. What we're going to do is get behind the scenes and really speak to some of our clients and now part of the Upsticks community about what it was like for them to come over on the non-lucrative visa. So what we're going to do now is we're going to bring in who's going to speak to us today, he says, with this great technology that we're learning. Here we go. And that is, say hi, that is Stu, Joanne and Waffles. Where's Waffles, guys?
She's having a sleep.
We'll get her on, Chris, before the end.
All right, well, what we're going to do is then before we're just going to introduce Waffles, and I've got a lovely picture here. So this is Stu and Joanne. This is also Waffles, who made the journey over. There we go. But he's having a sleep at the moment. So anyway, well, thanks, guys, for coming on the podcast. I really do appreciate it. It's I know you've been watching the channel for a while, way before you moved over. And we did discuss doing this. And really, it's just we want to know what it's like. I've got a series. I actually got a script, which is weird for me, to be honest with you. But what we want to do is get behind the scenes and know what it's actually like for people before you do move over. So what first made you think about coming to Spain? What was that sort of that eureka, that trigger moment that went, was it, I'm going to live there?
I think for us, there were so many things. One, we don't like winter in the UK, so neither of us enjoy the cold. We'd worked very hard over the years, and the thought of the lifestyle, the weather, the culture, you know, sort of being near the beaches and everything, it was just everything. You watch and you watch a place in the sun, a new life in the sun, and it's everything that you dream of doing, really, isn't it?
Yeah, I think, and to allow for that, Chris, the affordability here in Spain, you know, it's much more affordable to do what we chose to do and take early retirement. We couldn't have done that in the UK. So for us, it was definitely a bit of a dream and something we've obviously been able to achieve. So, and also thank you to you for your support and your team there.
Yeah, it's been and it's been a good journey, and you know, luckily without too many hiccups. But how long ago before you? How long have you been looking at it? Was it like many years? Was it a recent thing, or is it like 20 years ago you started looking at it?
About five or 6 years ago, we started a conversation, which developed into really looking into the areas, what we might do to you know, do we come out and live permanently? Do we come on holiday first? Do we buy somewhere? So then we sort of sat down and came up with a 5-year plan. So it's not been a knee-jerk reaction. It's something we've planned long and hard for in the last 5 or 6 years.
Yeah, and I suppose like 5 years ago, we bought the property and then we came out on holiday. So we kind of researched areas. Where do we want to be? Why do we want to be in that area? And for us, it was all about being in an expat community where people speak our mother tongue, but within 5 minutes we can step out into the Spanish culture. That was really important to us, to have all the services on our doorstep.
You pretty much nailed that then, haven't you, where you live? Because
absolutely.
You know, you've got everything there, and in 15 minutes down the road you've got Matheron. We should say, sorry, you're in Camposol. I don't think I mentioned that. And I mean, when I visited Camposol, I was just shocked by the size of it, I have to say, and the facilities. It's like a town, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yes.
It's a mini city. But then obviously you've only got the Puerto Matheron, which is on your doorstep, which is, you know, gorgeous Spanish port and, you know, a lovely town.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we've got, you know, villages close by, you know, very Spanish villages, Spanish towns. So there is definitely the ability to integrate into the Spanish lifestyle. But we do have the safety net of an English community, or majority is English. But most of the shops, most of the services here, they're Spanish families that run the shops or work in the services, but they certainly can speak some English, and we're still learning Spanish, which for us we're finding quite challenging, I've got to say. But it's such a great balance for us. It was our prerogative to have that, because we were looking ahead as well to when we're older. And certainly for myself, I feel responsible for Joanne to make sure she would be okay in the future as well. So we did look round the area before we came out and had holidays here. So we've done a lot of background looking, haven't we? And
absolutely, research and then buying the property 5 years ago, it feels like we'd already started integrating before we even came to live here, so it wasn't as daunting then for us.
I suppose it's that familiarization, that even if you don't understand the Spanish, it's a familiarization of actually listening to it as well, and having a look at the documents, even for your property. You're already familiarized with the way things are, the way things happen, aren't you? Whereas if you we always encourage people to do discovery trips and stuff like that, to try and as you say, familiarize yourself with areas.
Absolutely.
And obviously you've got Murcia on your doorstep as well, so as you get older, you've got a big city there that you can depend on as well.
And it's Spain is a lovely country. That's our view of Spain. I think we're very fortunate to be living in the Murcia region. It's such a beautiful area, and we've only scratched the surface. We've been on trips out and visited different towns and areas, but we know there's so much more out there. So so much more to look forward to.
So jumping forward then to you've had the house for 5 years. Obviously, it's always been in the back of your mind, but there must have been a point where you both sat down and this is D-Day. This is when it all kicks off.
I think that the timing was around the time that Brexit started to be mooted in the UK, and that sort of fed the idea more to move forward with buying the house, coming out here, and sort of really exploring the area. I'm making the decision then that we would buy the house. We didn't know what Brexit would bring as far as being able to purchase houses, taxation, etc. But we always had that dream of doing that, and that just sort of gave us that timeline then. And we sort of chose a sort of 5-year plan because we looked at the finances, the pension, taking early retirement, savings, etc. So we spent a lot of time planning and looking into detail of how much things cost, whether it be electric, water, IBI, what we would pay as council tax in the UK. So we went into a lot of detail then on the financial side.
And as I'm sure you know, Chris, Stuart is very, very detailed, and he likes to make sure everything is done to the highest standard. And that was really reassuring for me. So we even spent one time when we came out, we went around the supermarket and did a sort of pretend week shopping and sort of calculated it. So we were really in the know of what to expect. There was nothing that surprised us, and because it's that 5-year plan, we knew exactly when we wanted to do it. We'd had the call with you about 18 months, I think, before we were actually doing it to make sure that we met the criteria and everything. So
that's good. And then obviously jumping forward from that, when you bought the house and when you actually came to move, when you sat down and went, okay, we've got the 5-year plan, this is the pin in the calendar, this is when we want to be in Spain. We're going to count, because I remember we spoke about counting back. Basically an estimated consulate time and then counting back from there to start the documents. Obviously at that point then you're looking at giving up jobs, saying goodbye to friends and family. And because it wasn't a snap decision, basically let's take it to the point when you paid us our deposit. So when you paid Upsticks deposit to say, because there's no going back now, so that's the time we're starting the paperwork. How did you feel then?
Excited, I think, would be one of the strongest emotions, because at that point we weren't really doing a lot within the process, but we knew we were starting it. We'd made that commitment. It was going to fulfill our dreams. Alongside that, probably the biggest stress or nervousness is, well, what if we don't get the visa?
Yeah.
Because we've got to leave work first.
Yeah.
We've got to prove we've left work. What happens if, yes, we've gone through the criteria, we've looked online, we've spoken to yourself, but what if, I kept saying to Joanne, I assume there's a guy sitting somewhere in Spain who'll make the decision and stamp the paperwork. What if he's having a bad day, doesn't like our photographs on the passport pictures and decides, or is there a quota? Is there a limit for the NLV? Because you don't know what you don't know. And these are big decisions. So it was a mixture of real excitement, nervousness, apprehension. For me, impatience, because I'm quite impatient naturally. So you probably picked up
on a common trait. We both share that trait. So
so you probably picked up on that from me on the email saying, well, can we not send off for this now? And so once we'd started, I wanted to get it done, and
Stu had all his spreadsheets and colour coordinated everything, and as we did something, that'd change on that bit, and that would do. Everything was just so well organised. So that helped.
That helps us though, Irene. It's a lot easier to work with you guys who are going through it methodically like that, and than it is to try and keep chasing people all the time. For example, we have our reminders that pop into our CRM, and if we take an action, like we'll send you, for example, the acro email. So send you the acro email. We always put a reminder in the diary. A week later, did the clients order the acro, and then 30 days later, did they receive it, and stuff like that. Most of the time, you don't actually reach those deadlines, because you'll find someone will drop you a note and go, I've ordered that, or it's arrived. But you've always got those reminders in. But no, it's the structure that you guys are working to was quite easy to work through with you, because you sort of we discussed, we knew what we needed to be done. We had the timeline in place, and more or less it panned out okay, didn't it?
It was perfect. It was really good.
One of the amazing things about the spreadsheet we did, and we look back at it even now, sometimes
I've still got it.
I mean, pretty much if you look at the original dates we put in, thinking that's how long those documents will take to come through, there's not one that's out of sync by more than a week, say.
No.
And when we said about hopefully we'll meet that date when we can actually apply for the date of going to the DLS for the appointment, we were ready to go on that week, really. It was just them waiting to see how quickly the appointment would come through. And without going into too much detail, the process, as I think you'd probably recall, Chris, we were very fortunate. We got quite a quick appointment, and then our visas came through very quickly.
Yes, I remember. Yeah, they came through. So that was, it was good. And you do have that bit of time once your visa does come through to enter Spain, so it's like a lot of people want to go on day one. I was speaking to somebody today, and whose visa's just arrived and starts on the 24th, and they're like, right, we need to come over. I'm going, no, you've got them. They're actually going to come over and go back. Wait, go back again. Come over, do what you need to do. Go back and then come back in February. We've still got the time, but it's after you've been looking at something like this for the amount of years like you guys have, it's like you're just keen to go, aren't you?
Definitely can understand that. We'd sort of steeled ourselves with the idea that we'd booked transport for the beginning of July, so that was the date we were going to travel. But since the visas came through so quickly, luckily we'd steeled ourselves with our timeline. But I mean, for a couple of months we couldn't wait. It was day after day, ticking off the calendar till we could travel. And
I take it that you, so during that period, obviously, because you had quite a long time planning everything, that the family were quite well prepared and everything.
Yes.
So the goodbye is that realization of I'm not going to be that close or anything like that. I suppose that wasn't as bad because you planned it so long.
I think it helped the build up, but I think, you know, being honest, Chris, when you actually come to move, the tears do flow. The emotions are quite raw and high because it is a big move. It is you know, saying farewell to friends and family is challenging. And I think we both were surprised just how emotional we got. Because we'd had so long to plan it and everybody knew, but actually when it came to going around to see friends and family and saying goodbye,
you're saying it so many times. That's the other thing, because, you know, it might be that, you know, your best friend or whatever, they're just saying it to you once, but you're going around lots of people, you know, and your family and everything, and it just keeps taking the scab off the wound almost. And I wasn't prepared for that, and I found that bit quite exhausting.
Yeah, I think emotionally exhausting, especially because you'd be tense from actually getting the visa in your hand. So you've had all that uncertainty, and you know, and maybe people asking you about the visa and stuff like that. And this is this kind of circumstance that we don't see our end. So doing the paperwork, we're going through the paperwork day in, day out. Yeah, brilliant. Right, okay, then you've got your visa, then we'll go into like, okay, brilliant. I'll send you an email. Then I'll say, Jane, right, this is the next stage, because like yourself, Stuart, we have to follow a process. But a lot of the time you don't. Some of our processes, I've said, right, leave that a day, because now they've got a visa, they've got to go speak to people. You know, so it's all very well, let's go, right, there's this, we need this, but it's got to sink in, and you've got to have that time, haven't you, to do exactly what you say, speak to family and friends. And from our point of view here, that's not always as obvious, you know, of what you might be going through at that point, because you know, ultimately you might need a bit of cooling off time after the excitement of the visa, you know, maybe.
I think, you know, in our experience, we've spoken about it. We felt the support from yourself and your team. It wasn't just a process support. I think you are quite engaged and empathetic with how it feels, and understand that, as you say, Chris, you know, helping people fulfill their dreams. It's a massive thing you do to help people with that. And we always felt appreciated of the fact you were sensitive to that, and your team. So that's how it's come across to us anyway. It isn't just a process that you deal with. You know, you do get to know the people, and
you do.
We talk to a lot of your clients. You know, Joanne does, particularly on some of their Facebook sites, and I think most clients we speak to, we've got a neighbour who's moving out soon, who's speaking to you at the moment and says the same thing. We've got neighbours across the road that you mentioned them last night on your update. You know, they'd sent a message on YouTube. They're moving out hopefully next year. So there's a lot of experience of Upsticks and yourself and your team that people share and talk about.
And don't underestimate that, Chris, because honestly, it's huge. And it's even, you know, for you, it's your day job of, oh, you know, I'm phoning this client and we're discussing, you know, that first call, that initial call. It's the bubbling excitement that you feel, and afterwards you feel as if you've just won the lottery. It's the most amazing feeling in the whole world, honestly. And so you're a big part of our journey, you know, and we could never thank you enough for everything that you and the team have done. It's meant so much to us, honestly.
Oh, that's lovely. Thank you. Yeah, it is. I mean, everybody here it's more than a job for everybody. You know? And we constantly try to understand what people are going through, and also because it does affect the what we're trying to achieve with people as well. So sometimes I might ask a question and somebody will be, that's a bit strange, you know. So, you know, and I'll say, well, the reason I'm asking that is because that may affect where you need to be in the future. That's why often we talk about the 5-year plan right at the beginning, because you'd hate someone to get here then realize they can only actually be here for a year. You know, and because we could get a lot of people visas, but that might not be what their 5 or 10 year plan allows them to do, you know, both financially and with health and stuff like that as well. So You know, that's lovely. I do appreciate that, because sometimes you don't know when you're this end as well, because you're thinking, oh, was that right? Or they might need that. And especially then when Jane gets involved in stage 2, and she'll be like, oh, actually, no, because that person, apart from the padron and everything, we think they need to be close to that, you know. So then we'll look at the other way. So it's nice that comes across, because sometimes it is difficult when you're this end, you know, talking about people's personal circumstances.
Yeah.
But that's as well why we recommend you so much to so many people. We reach out, we tell people about our experience, because I like the fact that, and we both do, that you're looking for this community. You know, you want to create this community. And I really hope that in the future, we meet some of your other clients who are in Campusol. And that's kind of like a little buddying service almost, where we go, oh, well, we found if we went there, that was the best place for that. And, you know, that buddying up system, I think it would be really good to get that going eventually.
Yeah, it's always been like a dream, really, for me to have the Upsticks community. You know, it's good because, you know, ultimately everybody's coming here for life. You know, so then, you know, yourselves in 3 years' time, we might be talking to people. Yeah, it's our day job. That's how we get paid, doing visas. But ultimately, you are going to be talking to people when you've been here 3 years. And there might be people coming over and things change. Yeah, it might be things that I don't know, you know, in campus. So you might be able to, you know, people might turn around and say, oh, actually, did you know you can get this here now? And did you know you can get that here? And I'll be like, oh, brilliant. Well, look, guys, you know, you're starting your journey now. This is what's going on in the community. And also I'm learning a lot. So like we've got a lot of clients now with the weekly updates like yourselves who send us through restaurants, and, you know, and that helps everybody, because I can see that, did you know you can get a menu of the day here for that price? You know, we started that kind of thing is I think is where we want to go with it, you know, the community. Anyway, we tried. And talking about community, then let's talk about your trip over. So you got your visas, the tiers are done. Okay. You're excited, and I've got some photos I want to show.
Oh dear.
So tell us about Bobby. Is it Bobby Trans, isn't it? Bobby, the transporter for Waffles. Tell me about
pet chauffeur. We would certainly highly recommend Bobby. What a lovely guy.
He's been very active on the channel. I've spoken to him as well. And he sent me some photos. I'm actually going to get him on as well. And we were laughing between us about your emails. I'm not going to lie.
Everybody does, Chris.
I just like to keep you all busy. Lovely guy. A pleasure to travel with. We wouldn't have sent Waffle, our dog, on her own or with anyone else, to be honest. He was great company. He's got a great story to tell about his own life. Really interesting guy, lovely guy. Was great with Waffle, really good with us.
It was our journey, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, we knew it'd be 4 days traveling over, because we chose to travel with somebody, with our dog. And from the moment we left the house, we didn't want for anything. If we wanted to stop for a few minutes, Bobby would stop. He'd planned all the hotels, and every hotel we went to, absolutely dog friendly. The staff loved our Waffle. She got absolutely spoiled. The rooms were all set up well for dogs, the grounds, etc. But yeah, great guy. We'd certainly recommend Bobby and Pet Chauffeur. And we know, you know, we've spoken to people who've used him as well, and they rate him really highly as well.
He just fills you with confidence. From the second you decide to go with him, he sends you all your itinerary and each night where you're staying. You can look everything up. He asks you if that's okay, if you're happy to go ahead with that. He's
an animal lover, though, quite often.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Oh yeah, he's worked with animals all his working life. He's just a lovely human being.
Yeah, I'm sure he'll share with you on your channel, you know, his backstory. But I mean, you're putting pictures up there. I mean, that was the hotel in Ashford in Kent, about 15 minutes away from the tunnel. We'd travelled down from the northwest, so again, really good for us that we were close to the tunnel in the morning, because we had quite a long day the day before anyway.
Oops,
Sorry, excuse us. So that you can see there, the grounds were lovely. We travelled in July, but the weather in the UK was still quite chilly when we travelled, but lots of room for the dogs and pets. This was the hotel in Spain.
Oh, okay, brilliant. This was, I think I've jumped to hotel. 1 second. So that first hotel was the one
in Ashford in Kent, the Bolingbroke, I think, Chris.
And then I think I've got this one here. Was this the one in France? Or?
It was, yeah. This was a smaller hotel, but absolutely lovely, so friendly. And just to the right of the entrance there, you could sit on the terrace. We had our meal out there with Bobby.
Yeah.
That was the second hotel we stayed at. You know, again, really dog friendly.
Was that meal? Was that the meal?
That was the meal. Yeah, one of the meals. The food was lovely, Chris.
It was. The breakfast the next day was lovely as well.
We certainly didn't starve on the journey, that's for sure.
And even the vehicle, oh, look at that. That was the breakfast the next day, was it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a proper continental breakfast.
And the choice was fantastic, for a small hotel. But again, situated just off the French motorway. Yeah. But even things like, Bobby stopped once we came off the Eurotunnel and we were overlooking the Normandy beaches. So, getting a bit of information from Bobby, obviously knows quite a bit because he's done the journey several times. And that was nice. I mean, I've always wanted to sort of visit the Normandy beaches and the battlegrounds. Yeah. So even just to see some of that area on our journey through France was great.
And this place here, was this your second
This night? Is the last Castillon.
Yeah, Castillon.
Castillon in Spain.
Yeah.
Really, really nice hotel, 4 or 5 star. But Bobby gave us the choice of did we want to stay at certain hotels or not.
Yeah.
We knew what the prices were for the rooms. There was a dog bed in the room for Waffle when we arrived. That's the room at the Spanish hotel.
Yeah. And the food was amazing. The chef would cook your food fresh for you, and you just take your things up to the chef, and he would cook it. All your loving your mussels and just everything that you could want. Some beautiful fish, and it was just stunning, wasn't it?
Spain were playing Germany that night, so the hotel was fairly busy with Spanish families in there watching the football. Quite excited, and but it was brilliant. It was nice to see the generations all sitting together watching the football.
Yeah.
That was the venue area outside the hotel where they do weddings and parties. It was stunning, really stunning.
Beautiful, wasn't it?
Wow. I think I've got a picture here of the inside of the hotel. Is that the right one? Is that the inside?
That's it.
Yes.
Yeah, that's sort of the bar area and cafe area.
Yeah.
And then we'd go through for the evening meal into the main restaurant where all the food was laid out. As Joanne said, if you picked your meat or your fish, the chef would cook it in front of you. It was a nice end to the sort of journey that last night in the hotel.
Yeah. And even then,
the waffles there.
Yeah, there's the bed they provided. They showered her with treats at reception, and so she loved it. But she was a bit tired by then, as we all were. I think,
she didn't feel too good during the journey, but she coped really well. And the vehicle was amazing. It was absolutely fantastic. We had our own aircon in the back so that we could regulate it for Waffle. We had a fridge as well. We had Wi-Fi, and Bobby couldn't stop laughing because I'd be sitting there catching up on Love Island and things. And, he just loved all of that. And he'd chat with you, but went quiet when he realised maybe you were tired or you were going to have a little sleep. It was just perfect, wasn't it? The journey.
He is certainly a very empathetic animal lover. I mean, Waffle isn't a great traveller anyway.
No.
I mean, she was fine, but she was quite subdued and quiet. And he would be checking with us all the time. And you can see there we I think that was one of the Spanish service stations that we stopped at, and it was very hot by then, beginning of July, and we weren't really used to it. Waffle wasn't, but he was constantly checking with us that she was okay, and you know, that's part of his service and his character. Absolutely brilliant.
So I mean, it's a lot of people don't consider, and this is what I spoke to Bobby about. I said you got to come on the channel and talk about it, because a lot of people don't consider actually traveling with their pets.
Yeah.
You know, or either driving their pets themselves.
Yeah.
Or sending them, or actually driving with somebody who drives you is a good option.
Yeah. You
know, so you know, that's something that definitely, I mean, thank you guys for introducing me to him, because you know, it's and quite often he passes, we haven't met in person yet, but quite often he passes here and we'll WhatsApp and whatever, and so it's great that option does, and it's part of your journey coming over. It's something you're going to remember, isn't it, as well?
Absolutely.
Oh yeah. And he certainly made it for us. Honestly, he was just so lovely. And it was the best thing we could ever do, because we always said we want to be Waffles' voice. We're not going to leave her to just go with anybody, you know, and they'd perhaps go a bit longer, whereas Bobby was fantastic. We'd say, look, she's going a bit funny colour. Can we stop for a little while? Yeah. And you wouldn't have had that had we not have sort of been there as well. So we couldn't have done it any other way, could we?
No. So it's traumatic for animals as well, you know.
And
also it's quite hard if you're coming over yourself. One of the biggest stresses that our clients have is trying to time the transport. Because there's not everybody can get a pet cabin. You know, so I suppose, you know, as long as you can book Robbie in, then you know your date. Whereas if you're trying to come, even if you're coming yourself or you're not sending your pet, trying to get, I've got people now who are going for visa appointments. They're like, I've got a pet cabin for March, and I'm like, look, well, you know, in theory your visa should be out by March, but we can't 100% guarantee it, because it could be in the, you know, so it's that I suppose that option gives you a little bit more flexibility.
It's part of when we were speaking earlier, Chris, weren't we? And we were saying there was times where it's stressful, and you know, we did a lot of planning, but there's a degree of risk. You know, you do need to book some services in advance. And certainly from our experience, all we can say is that we took on the sort of guidance from yourself, the maximum it should take for the visa. And yes, we did have to pre-book Bobby, but I've got to say, Bobby gave us some options at that point anyway, and reassured us there would be some leeway. But that might have been just a circumstance for him at that time, you know. But had we booked Bobby, say, a month before the 90 days, I think I would have had lots and lots of sleepless nights had we not got the visa so quickly. What in our experience, what made it a bit easier for us, we got the visa so quickly that, you know, those risks went out the window once we got the visa. But I know it's not the same for everyone. So
we were very fortunate. 13 days, I'll just say it again.
I know, it was amazing. It was really, you know, I was shocked. We just had another one for actually quite quickly, but they're very random at the moment. It's kind of frustrating. I wish we could say, I mean, the average is 6 to 8 weeks, but I wish I could, you know, some are taking now Manchester 12 and 14 weeks, and some are coming through in 2 weeks. It
really is pot luck, isn't it? I mean, just before we started that process, they were taking some time, and you know, we were watching your videos, and you were saying, you know, similar things. And as we got closer to applying for the appointment, it was coming down, and Manchester seemed to have improved, and you know, the BLS there seemed to be getting the visas out fairly quickly. And Joanne was actually tracking the dates for everybody who was posting how long it had taken. And I think then it was 4 to 6 weeks, and you know, a bit longer sometimes. So to get it in 13 days for us was. However, what I would say is we used the Upsticks folder.
We did.
We put everything in order. We even put a couple of extra things in there, stickers, just to highlight things. The guy in the BLS was really impressed. And the passing comment was, we said, you wouldn't put it on the top of the pile, would you? which Joanne said he did on the shelf behind him. He shook our hands and said, "Thank you, that was brilliant. You know, we get so many people coming in where the paperwork's missing," or we gave him every bit of paperwork we had. We wouldn't take anything back off him. You know, because they took the photographs when we were in there. But we took their passport photos as you devised anyway. But we just wouldn't take anything back. And as you know, we didn't get any pushbacks. We didn't get any requests for further documentation. And 13 days later, the visas arrived. So I'd certainly encourage and recommend anyone going through the process, you know, have too much than too little. It's, you know.
Yeah, it's best to be over prepared and then not on it. Then that's what even now today we're telling people to take passport photos with them, even though you guys are one of the first actually were doing the digital photo. And since then there was a few hiccups where people would go, they got, it's not working, bring one. And but the honest truth is, for 6 months now they've been stable. We've still got it in our sort of workflow to tell people to take that passport photo with them, but because I know the one time I don't, you know, they're going to get there, they're going to say it's not working. So
and that can happen, can't it, with technology? I mean, the booth we went into, so the photographs, you know, she did take a couple of minutes to set it up and take a few photographs and then take them again. You think, oh, maybe this isn't working, you know, but at least we got the passport photos with us, so we'd have been okay with that.
So right, so we've got that. So we're there, we've been to the consulate, you've come over and you've suddenly just arrived, and then the first time you sit down on the sofa and then you realise, oh, hang on a minute, now we've got to start living life and register the visa and get a padron and do this and do that. What sort of, when does that kick in, or are you just still excited? So that when you do, is there not a moment you sit down on the sofa when, you know, Jane gives you a call or something and you go, oh, I've still got quite a bit to do actually?
Yeah, I think we're still living the dream, Chris. And I think for both of us, it's probably going to last a lot longer. Every day we get up, we're very grateful for what we've got, the fact we're living here. I certainly, well, we both do. We feel very privileged to be allowed to come to Spain and live here.
We do.
We do feel we're you know, we're sort of not taking anything for granted. Yes, I think when we started to get the contact from Jane about visiting Cartagena and that the padron, exchanging our driving license, having a medical, there was a bit of sobering up on those dates because again, the stress levels raised a little bit. You know, we'd never been to Cartagena police station before. I have to say,
it's the most ridiculous police station you'll ever see. Whoever decided to paint that lime green or make it cladded lime green, I mean,
at least you can't miss it, Chris. You know, we parked up just down the road where you walk down opposite the military, the naval base. And the car park was only a couple of 100 yards away. What certainly I think sobers you up is certainly with official appointments, like with the police, the medicals, etc. Not being able to speak Spanish is definitely a hindrance.
Having Julie there was fantastic, wasn't it, from your team?
But you know, again, with Julie there, that helped. You know, we had a cup of coffee first. You know, we sent you some photos of the cafe there. It's right over the, you know, across the road from the police station. So anyone going to Cartagena, if they're with yourself and they're getting Julie there, say, don't worry about it. You know, just have your paperwork ready and have a nice coffee before you get in there. Julie will look after you and you'll be fine. But it's what you don't know. You know.
Did you find it intimidating because you're not used to seeing police and everything? They are. You know,
they're quite. You know, the police come out. There's lots of people there with papers being waved in the air and mobile phones. They're very direct. They're very straight. But when we went back on our own to actually pick the cards up, because we'd experienced that, we knew what to expect. I have to say that the police in there, I had a bit of a laugh with a couple of them. They were very good, actually. You know, we had a little bit of Spanish, you know, I suppose polite Spanish, where we can say hello and thank you and ask the odd question. Unfortunately, we ask a question and when somebody answers us, we don't know what the answer is. But I think when people see you trying,
that helps.
It does help.
And we do try.
The padron at the town hall was fairly straightforward, in fairness. In Mazaron, most people do speak a bit of English anyway, so they're very good in that way. They do meet you halfway.
We had a problem with the medical certificate for the driving license, though, didn't we?
Yeah, that was an experience. That talk about stressful moments. We went to the clinic in Mazaron. The first time we went, we had all the paperwork we needed, handed in a sheet of paper that we'd have been advised to do with our details written down and our NIE numbers, etc. Definitely a learn for me. I didn't cross through the sevens.
No.
Didn't think about it. And then when Joanne was in having the eye test and went into the next room for the admin to be sorted, this rather direct Spanish doctor told Joanne to get out the office and go away. When luckily there was a Norwegian couple, I think, there who interpreted for us, and they implied it was a problem with the Traffico office computer, and asked us to come back the next week. So we went back the next week, but we took an interpreter with us the next week who asked the receptionist, spoke to the doctor. It turned out what it was, they'd keyed in the wrong NIE number because I hadn't crossed the sevens through, so it didn't recognise us on the computer.
Because that was a 1 as far as they were concerned. So
I'm going to write that down to put somewhere. Remember to cross the sevens. You know, we never tell people that.
Yeah.
No, it's just that thing of the advice we've been given was, write down your name and address, write down your numbers, and hand it to the receptionist. So if there is a challenge speaking the language, at least you can literally type off your paper onto the computer, which we did.
We did, yeah.
Really good advice. The receptionist was really lovely, but I assume she was typing in the number 1.
Yeah.
And in our numbers, there's several sevens. So
then when obviously the doctor was speaking to me, he was saying you're not recognised and what have you, but I had misunderstood that. And then he said to me, "You stupid English girl, get out of here. If you want to be in Spain, you speak Spanish." And I was in tears. I felt so fragile and vulnerable that day. And it was a real learning curve for us, wasn't it?
Absolutely. Yeah,
because I mean, it's this, and this is a picture you're saying about getting the padron. That's the where you went to, and it's one of those when you come across that first instance because that doesn't quite go right, and then there's good and bad and ugly in every place that you go.
Yeah.
And the doctor should never have said anything like that. And if you had half a brain, he'd have realised that you just moved over. That's why you needed that specific certificate. And no one learns Spanish in about 2 months. But it's rude. But it's still it puts you off and it knocks you. And as you were saying before, I mean, you said you're still living the dream. I've been here 25 years next April, and I'm still living the dream. You still have to work a lot, but I'm still wake up in the morning and still love life, as we do here. And but then you still get instances which knock you.
Yeah.
So.
That happens in the UK as well, Chris. It happens
everywhere.
You can speak the same language and people can treat you in a certain way. But we're of the opinion, we are guests in the country. It is Spain. If we could change anything, it probably would be that maybe we'd have, learned more Spanish before we moved out.
Absolutely.
We were having lessons in the UK, but we were still working. Life does get in the way a bit of trying to achieve all these things. And we're having lessons still while we're here.
Yeah.
Maybe, certainly for me, I'll speak for myself, maybe because of my age, it's a bit more challenging learning a new language at this age. And there's the lovely police station in Cartagena.
Yeah.
I've just found that as we were talking. I said, that's where, I mean, that's a crazy police station.
The thing is, you post that, Chris, and we say it's yellow. Let's hope they don't paint it because nobody will find it.
I know. I mean, listen. I mean, even the first time I saw it and I was there, I said, "Blimey!" But yeah, it's tough. I think the main thing is just giving it a go.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I mean, we recently had an experience when I went to my second arm consultation in the hospital, and the doctor was just awful.
Yeah,
it was dreadful, just absolutely dreadful. She just went to me, and I speak fluent Spanish, and I was with Lara, my wife, who's sat here at the moment, and she was there, and she was just stood there going, and she went to me, and it's been 6 weeks since I had a pole put in my arm, and she's going, put your hands behind your head. Put your hands behind your head. And I'm going, I can't really. I'm trying, and then she went, well, you got to try harder. She went, yes, it's healing okay. You got to try harder and get out, and I'll see you at the end of the year type thing. And, I was like, okay, so I walked out quite deflated because I've been trying really hard the last month to go for the physio, to not do anything stupid, so it still happens. You do, those sorts of incidences happen. But the moment I got here and I saw my mate who's the physio, and he went, oh, she's just stupid. She said, that's just, you can't say that to somebody who's just broken their arm. He said, that's just ridiculous. And he filled me full of confidence. But, even at that point, even I was knocked. I was like, oh, hang on a minute. What on earth's going on? But
that's just an attitude, though, isn't it, Chris? That's just the individual. I mean, going back to the medical, we went back on the second occasion, and once we realised what had happened, we had the translator. Have to say that the two doctors there were absolutely fine. They spoke to us in a nice way. Yeah. Their interaction, again, a few smiles and a bit of interaction. So maybe we just caught him on a bad day, and but yeah, it was.
Yeah, you never know. What's behind the scenes, do you?
Yeah.
So we have a funny problem at the moment with our the medical centre we use in Fingarola to do the medical certificates. Quite a lot of people here in Malaga visit frequently during their preparation journey, and we send them to this clinic in Fingarola that issues the certificates. Now, we know that the medical certificate, to be honest with you, part of the NLV journey, is a bit of a ridiculous document because the type you could get an exportable disease at any point. Just an antiquated document that you have to get as part of the process. So the doctors aren't really that interested. If you walk in, they'll just charge you the €60 each for the certificate, and that's it. And but the guy we got at the moment, because he's a private doctor, he keeps coming in with a baseball cap on, right? And I'm like, he's got his gown on, and the clients are going to get a certificate, and like, can you not at least ask 5 questions? Do you know what I mean? Not just do you feel well and are you on any drugs? I said, can we just not have 5 questions for the €60, please? Because the clients are coming out looking and going, is that it? Is that it? And I'm going, honestly, it's just a personal declaration. You haven't got any diseases, but could you please just at least do your shoelaces up, take the cap off, and ask 5 questions? That's all we ask.
I thought you were going to say came in with a baseball bat. I was going to say
no, baseball cap. He's like, he just literally walks in summer, walking around in flip flops, and it's a proper doctor. It's just a private clinic who does the certificates, and it's quite funny what your expectations are when you do these things.
Yeah. I think the main thing, Chris, as long as you get the certificate off them, you don't really care, to be honest.
Yeah.
No, you don't.
To an end, isn't it? Like everything.
Yeah, no. So you're here. So that's all done. You've done your journey. You've settled down, and you've obviously discovered your favourite wine, food, and places to eat, I imagine.
Up to now,
yeah.
I think there's so much more out there, Chris. We feel that we've scratched the surface. We're so lucky that where we're positioned, and you've obviously visited Camposol and Mazaron and the port. We 15 minutes down the road, we've got Bon Nuevo, one of the most beautiful beachfront locations I've ever seen in my life. The port is amazing. Then we've got a location is La Plana, La Zoia. We've sent you some photos of those places.
Yeah, I've got them. I showed them on my weekly update once.
Yeah. There's lovely restaurants down there, cafes. We've been to some, but there's so many more to go to. Cartagena is 40 minutes away, and what an amazing city with the history there. We've got so many things. We've been to a place called Guadalest, which is just on the outskirts of Benidorm. That's a couple of hours away, but if anybody is anywhere near Guadalest,
it's
go there.
Picturesque. You won't go to Benidorm, but this is so different. It's a beautiful whitewashed village, and it's absolutely outstanding, isn't it?
Well worth a visit.
Yeah.
And that's just in our little area where we live.
Yeah.
You know, we've been to Mihas in the past when we've been over at the house. You know, that's 4 hours away from us. I don't know about you, Chris, but we go on the roads and we think maybe the road's closed. You know, we seem to be the only car on this motorway for 4 hours, and you think, you know,
so we travelled your way in the summer on the way to Castellón, and it's just, you're in the middle of summer and you travel along those roads and you're thinking, wow, you know, it's what is going on, because I haven't seen that many cars. I haven't seen a policeman. I haven't seen anything. You know, it's incredible what how and the roads are so good, and they're so, you know, fast. You can do 200 or 300 kilometers without. And it's good to see. Was that part of your plan to get out and travel around Spain then, not just to sit? And,
I mean, we've always loved, you know, going out for day trips. I mean, obviously with Waffle, we love going to places like the beach and, you know, off the beaten track. In England, we used to go away for weekends up in the Lake District and around the country. So obviously Spain is a much bigger country. So, you know, there's places we may never get to. I mean, that's one of the restaurants just down in Isla Plana. You know, the beach is across the road.
Oh, it's stunning.
It's a lovely Spanish family menu of the day.
Yeah. Casa del Nono, it's called. It's beautiful.
This place intrigued me, I have to say.
Oh, the cave restaurant.
Yeah, that place intrigued me because I had to look twice when you sent me this photo.
Oh, the food is fantastic there, isn't it?
Yeah, it's you go inside and it's a take on a cave house type layout, family run restaurant. The father stands behind the glass cooking your food. They're so friendly, and again, it's in a small Spanish village about 20 minutes away from us. You know, you can get a meal from anything from €8, which is 4 different types of lamb chops, pieces of lamb, chips, homemade desserts afterwards. I think the most expensive meal was about €15, if I remember rightly. And again, the affordability of going out and having these meals and going these places is absolutely brilliant, especially when you're on a pension. It's still nice to go out and enjoy the culture.
And that's the beach. What beach is that?
So this is by Isla Plana. It's a small little private cove almost, you know. That was a lovely, stunning day. We'd taken Waffle down to the beach. Nobody in that cove at all, Chris. You know, we could have sat there all day.
It was a birthday, the 30th of November that was. And
wow.
It was, honestly, it was so hot that we had to bring her home because we thought, my goodness, it's actually warmer than we appreciated, you know.
Stunning.
We just feel so blessed. We really do.
I think we're still getting used to, you know, palm trees on the beach and along the roads, and you know, it's just, it could be anywhere in the world really when you look at some of the locations. No,
it's a beautiful part of the world. I thought there's a lot of birds here I'd love to explore. So okay, and then just last thing, because we're running up to the hour now. So what sort of plans now? I mean, obviously when you get here, you're thinking, right, immediately I want to search around. Is it just to keep exploring, just to chill out? Obviously, you're looking forward over the 5-year temporary residency period, get that permanent residency. You have the renewals coming up, which I'm sure is always in the back of your mind as well. You know, you have that initial excitement, then the visa, then you get here, and then you're like, oh, now I've got to go through the registration process. Then you're like, okay, relax again. Oh, now I've got the renewal coming up. So I'm sure that's always something there, you know, in your head.
It is. We're aware of it, but to be honest, Chris, we're getting on with living the dream. Joanne does an awful lot here. She does volunteer work on a Monday, goes off to a ladies group. People said, you know, what are you going to do when you get bored? You know, you're retiring, you'll be bored. I mean, we haven't had time to be bored, to be honest.
I go to yoga and Pilates. Stu has taken up pottery and made some amazing pieces already.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
I'll be up to collect one then when I come to Campus.
Absolutely.
I'll make you a joystick.
Maybe a joystick. And if you want to know where that joke comes from, look for Weekly Update 44. That was quite funny, that.
Or an Upsticks mug or something.
Yeah, an Upsticks mug, Upsticks joystick. That was quite funny.
And you can play your guitar, and it's just everything. We've started really reminiscing about the whole thing that we've done, the process, and it all started. We actually even went to one of the Place in the Sun events. And we did a screen test to actually get on a Place in the Sun.
All right.
At the end of it, I said to Stu, oh my word, we're going to get on that programme. I just know it. I said, we did really well. And Stu said, don't be ridiculous. There'll be thousands of people who will sort of interview for it. And because of Brexit coming up and the not knowing if we, how it would be, we ended up coming out and having a look here anyway. And we just put our deposit on our house here. And the following Wednesday, received a call from a Place in the Sun to say that we'd been successful.
Oh, wow.
And would be available in 2 weeks. But obviously, we've just done the whole thing.
So Joanne was honest and said, no, it's okay. We brought a house. So we lost out on a week's holiday. I was like, no, don't tell them. Let's just go and look at some more, So
yeah, they don't need to know. They don't need to know. It's all about the belly. Oh, I didn't know that. Oh, well, never mind.
But it all
when our channel goes viral, you'll be more famous than the place.
Absolutely. But it all kind of started from there, and it's just got better and better and better. We feel so blessed, Chris. We really do. We just love life, don't we?
That's wonderful. Yeah, it's nice to see that you're enjoying the journey. And
I'll try and get Waffle to say hello, Chris.
Say hello to Waffle before we go.
Yeah, it's just made me just really appreciate what we have, and we know that we're very lucky to be able to do this. I'm sure for some people their dream has come to a standstill because of the criteria, so we do know how lucky we are, and we know that we've been very lucky having Upsticks support us, and Bobby and everybody else. And we just thank you so much for everything that you've done.
It's been a fun journey. It really has. And that's why I wanted to get you guys on and talk about it. I know we spoke about it before, and, and it's nice just to get the behind the scenes, what it's really like.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go. Hello, Waffles.
I've had to bribe her with a treat to get her to come on, but
that's all right. That's how they get me to work. They just That's amazing. Well, look, guys, listen, thank you so much for coming on. That was amazing. We'll stick this out very soon. And we'll be in contact for your renewal. We're in constant contact anyway, aren't we? So if you know, it's all part of the community. And keep in touch. And I can't thank you guys enough for being the clients and part of the community and friends that you've been. It's been really, really fun. It really has, I have to say. There's a lot of stressful times. A lot of time when we leave work, it's like you're thinking about things all the time, but it's nice that after these years that we've been doing it, there are people in Cambusol. You are talking to other Upsticks people. We will get some joysticks through at some point. So thank you so much.
Our pleasure, Chris.
And then we'll see you very soon.
Yeah.
See you soon, Chris.
Don't take too much notice of the trolls, Chris, and the criticisms. You're not going to please everyone, and I think myself and Joanne can be a bit sort of sensitive at times to odd things that are said to us.
But you're doing great.
But just ignore it, Chris.
There was a few trolls that said I waffled a bit, but I was like, it gets to the point.
Listen, compared to me, you're very concise, Chris. So don't worry about it.
Yeah, look, at least I wrote a bit of a script.
Yeah. I was doing that. You didn't stick to it, but I was doing that.
No, you did.
Chris, can we wish you and Laura and the family a lovely Christmas and all the best wishes for the new year? And we'd love to meet up with you sometime in the new year, in 2025. It'd be lovely to meet you in person.
Yeah,
we're definitely going to come over and do a bit of an Upsticks trip. I think I had planned. I normally do one a year. I was there last year and see everybody as well. Obviously, all the people we work with and stuff. as well. And then this year, I just couldn't make it because of the arm.
Yeah.
So that went out. So I don't know if I'll try and do a spring trip instead.
Brilliant.
Or we'll tie it into when I can actually come with a whole family, which would be nice, isn't it? So, but we're definitely going to get a trip up. I can tell you that now. So we will be seeing you soon.
Good.
Wonderful. Thanks very much,
Take
Chris.
care. Look after yourself. Be careful of that arm, Chris.
Yeah. It's all good. It's getting there. It's all good.
Brilliant. All the best.
All right, guys. Bye. Bye. Oh, I've got to work out how to turn you off now. That's the only thing.
We're the same.
There we go. Still getting used to this technology now. So wasn't that lovely? Well, we want to get some more podcasts like that on, but it's great to see people's journey. It really is, and what's behind the scene. So if you haven't subscribed, please do. Only about 25% of people who watch our channel are actually subscribers. There's 75% of you who watch the channel. So it'd be great if you could subscribe and check us out for next week's weekly update, which is number 45, which will be live on Sunday at 6:30.